नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल, आदाब और खम्मा गणी दोस्तों। सुनाओ अपनी कहानी, बनाओ अपनी पहचान की इस मुहिम में एक बार फिर हाजिर है हम एक नई और दिलचस्प कहानी के साथ। जी हाँ, ये कहानी है असम की रहने वाली जाफरीन अख्तर की जिंदगी के बारे में। दोस्तों, आपको बता दें, जाफरीन अख्तर एक सामाजिक कार्यकर्ता हैं। जी हाँ, ये एक सोशल वर्कर हैं और स्प्रेड लव एंड पीस की फाउंडर है। समुदाय की जरूरत को समझने से लेकर महिला सशक्तिकरण तक असम के सुदूर इलाकों में बदलाव लाने का ये बेहतरीन काम कर रही है। अपने समुदाय की अशिक्षित और दलित महिलाओं के उत्थान के लिए इनके द्वारा किए गए तमाम प्रयास सराहनीय हैं। आपको बता दें, इनका जन्म असम के एक छोटे से गांव में हुआ था। स्कूली शिक्षा पूरी करने के बाद ये सोशल वर्क में ग्रेजुएशन करने के लिए गुवाहाटी चली गई और वहीं से अपनी ग्रेजुएशन की पढ़ाई इन्होंने पूरी की। 2015 में इन्होंने अपने गांव में ही समुदाय के लिए काम करना शुरू कर दिया और आज भी ये सिलसिला बदस्तूर जारी है। दोस्तों, आज के युवाओं के लिए इनका सुझाव है कि देश का हर युवा अपना रास्ता खुद ही ढूंढे, मन में स्पष्टता रखे और अपनी क्षमताओं को पहचान कर अपने लिए उचित राह चुने और कभी भी दूसरे लोगों के बहकावे में ना आए। दोस्तों, यकीन मानिए, आपके द्वारा चुनी गई राह ही कल आपको अपनी मंजिल तक भी पहुंचाएगी। तो ये कुछ खास बातें थी जाफरीन अख्तर की जिंदगी से जुड़ी जो हमने आपके साथ साझा की। दोस्तों, इनके साथ ऐसी ही ढेर सारी बातें करने के लिए अब चलिए सीधा चलते हैं इनके पास, मिलते हैं इनसे और सुनते हैं पूरी कहानी इनकी अपनी जुबानी।
Hello everyone, my name is Jafrin and I am based out of Assam, a place which is demographically tiny called Balipara in the Sonitpur district. So I started, back in the year 2015, working over here with the community, and I started it, little by little by going door to door, seeing what is the awareness of people around, and the willingness also, to create a community within this village. So after that, like, eventually I understood their interests were, towards understanding environmental concerns, as well as bringing women at the forefront. So they were like, the women themselves were very interested to come and work and build a community sort of, and create more safe spaces for themselves. They were looking out for spaces which were collective and women led. So eventually, after working years, for years in this village, I figured, we figured out that we can run learning circles. So what were these learning circles? In 2020, November to 2020, we started this idea wherein women would come and share their own stories, struggles, and whatever their dreams were, their aspirations were that were left behind. And these women are Muslim who have not been able to get their primary and secondary education, and they came up and then they shared their stories, and led these spaces, wherein these conversations came up of how they lead their own lives, and via story sharing we came up with this idea of power building. So what is that? Let's just taking a minute to just explore that idea. So these women, while sharing their own lived experiences, they're resonating with each other. They're creating a space which is very, very shared, of shared values and experiences. And that's how they find that, solidarity, that power, that hope that, okay, I'm not alone. There is somebody out there who has similar experiences, in which I have gone through as well. So that's how we build this space. We are still forming core team, and then seeing where to reach out, which villages to reach out even more. So we have around 20 to 30 women in the strong circle, and we are also like a say a solidarity circle of 50 to 60 women who come regularly and then meet and share their own stories, and we're seeing how to venture out these even more in the coming times. I was born here in Assam, itself, born and brought up here. and I did my schooling, like eventually बहुत बचपन में तो I studied in a missionary school, but after that I was brought to a school that is run by my parents. So from class first to eighth I studied there, and ninth and tenth again, because there was there was no possibility of appearing boards from my parents' school, so I had to shift to another school called SM Rifles Public School, that was 5 kilometers away from here, sort of. And after that I got my higher secondary from Kendra Vidyalay in Solmara, and post that I had to like go to Guwahati to pursue bachelor's of social work. So that was an interest area that I was building, and so I thought that like, and a lot of people suggested as well that I should do social work in like graduation in social work. So I had to shift to Guwahati for a few years to complete my graduation, and also do volunteering and explore this area venture sort of ways in Guwahati itself. Okay, so we started this venture called Spread Love and Peace. The learning circle that I shared is a part of is a program run by Spread Love and Peace, and we started in the year 2018. But as I mentioned, I have been working with the community since 2015. And even earlier, if we say non-formally, that way, informally. The struggles I think the most I have faced was, I mean, my family did not really understand, what I was doing and why I was doing what all I was, trying to find out, sort of, my own purpose of, working in the community. So it was difficult to explain them like initially, but eventually I understood, I think, that it's not about explaining them or trying to justify my work, more about why I want to do what I want to do. So I kept working, and I think that spoke later on, and the acceptance from my family came in eventually after a lot of years. And also the another challenge was that to win the trust of the community, because you are just a teenager, you're just maybe in your early 20s, and how do you even win that trust of that community which you want to work on. So unless you are regularly trying to visit them, trying to understand the community from their own lens. So I mean, it was entirely, I think, trial error and learning in the process. Like, it was nothing sort of which I knew or which I had studied. It was, everything was practical. Like, I did, and then I learned, okay, what does the community need at the moment, what are they seeking, how can I support being a part of the village, that from that lens, and not getting into something like, okay, I came from, I studied in Guwahati, I came, and then let me impart this knowledge. There was nothing of that sort. So we tried and build this power and solidarity network within the community by being a part of it. So it was, everything was a learning, but the challenges were, I think, from one, from my family. Second was definitely the understanding of the community that I built eventually. And third, I think the major challenge is always, I think, the financial support. Like, we are a volunteer driven collective still, and we look for funds, we look for opportunities wherein people are getting paid in a just way. But where do we get those? So financial stability of the venture is definitely one of the concerns that we look forward to meet in the coming years. Okay, achievement for me, I think, this entire journey of, just starting to work with this community, trying to understand them, and finally them leading these conversations, these circles, coming up, and looking forward to meeting again. So my achievement is very, I think, on an emotional level, how people are getting connected, and also how people are trying to invest. They are also trying to sort of look out for opportunities where they can be a participant. They, like, sort of, अगर मैं एकदम छोटा सा एग्जाम्पल बताऊं कि there was one woman from the learning circle who came up and said that I'm looking out for an office for us, a space where we can sit and come together. It was their initiative. They looked out for a space, they built that, and we could meet out there. So when people are taking initiative, it's not just me, who is trying to create these spaces. They are coming and they are trying to do it as well on equal front. and I think that is an achievement for me. A lot of other recognitions can be, कि न्यूज में आ गए या कई लोग हमें पहचान रहे हैं, but I think these recognitions are very temporary. But all of those which I have earned within the community or within the village, I would say, is something that will stay. And that is something very impactful for me, that I feel. Okay, my role models are, I think, everyday women and, like people from the queer community that I see, activists, my friends, and a lot of, people who are working on ground. They are my role models, I feel. And I think it would be unfair to name, but also some of the people who have deeply impacted me, I would like to name them as well. Kavita, Ragini, and a lot of people. I think if I start naming them, even my mother, looking up to them and seeing how they live their everyday life with, with fights and struggles, and then coming up to something that is meaningful for them, that is creating something out of their lives, something purposeful. So that is, I think, I take away from people and I look up to them, little learnings, how to live my own life, how to lead my own life, sort of. Okay, one advice is that take no advice. Because open, what happens is that, I'll just give you a little bit backstory. What happens is that people try to infantilize us a lot, as young people who are coming into this field, say, "Arey yaar, ye to chote bacche hai, kya hi karenge?" I was done that. So, I mean, take what you want. Take how much ever, you can. That's the only advice I would say I would give. And also just focus on, I mean, what values you carry in your life, like that is something that you keep going ahead with. Because abhi jo mera value hai, wo kahin na kahin mere childhood se link karta hai. And that is why, that is all why I do what I do, So try and find out those values and see how far you have sticked by and what you want to create out of your life, out of those values. So these are the two things I think I would like to say to the, to whoever wants to come in this field or sector, or whoever wants to explore this area of work. Okay, my success mantra का तो पता नहीं, पर जिंदगी में ये मंत्रा जरूर है कि आजाद रहो और आजाद करो. So because I feel free from all of the conditionings, from all of the biases. If I'm trying to be free at least, then my goal is to make others feel free as well. My life purpose is to make others feel free as well. And what does this freedom give? So Azad karo aur Azad raho. I think that is my mantra of my life. So I'm not sure that मेरा personal life और professional life का कितना वो goals कितने differences है, but I know that what I love is dancing and talking about pleasure and sex. So I love talking about which is sex positive or pleasure positive, and also amalgamation of dance and movement into that. So I'm looking forward to pursue that in my life as well. But that's something that I love to, explore in my life. I'm trying to create newer ways to explore the amalgamation of movement and pleasure. So let's see. Let's hope for the best. I mean. Okay, my message would be, I think, check your own biases, check your own privilege, and, check for who you are as a person. Without the conditioning or the societal norms that we have. Look out for yourself. I would say that. Show up for yourself. No matter who stands by you, you should be the one who is standing for yourself in the end of the day. So that's my message, and that's how I say, ki, azad karo and azad raho. Because if you won't look out for yourself, who would be standing by for you in the end? And yeah, thank you. I mean, that's the thing that I would want to say.
दोस्तों, आप सुन रहे थे एक सोशल वर्कर जाफरीन अख्तर की कहानी, इनकी अपनी जुबानी। ऐसी ही प्रेरक कहानियाँ रोजाना सुनने के लिए हमारा चैनल सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल आइकन जरूर दबाएं। और अगर आज की ये कहानी आपको पसंद आई है तो इसे लाइक, कमेंट और शेयर करना ना भूलें। अब आप भी बन जाइए भारत की प्रोफेशनल कम्युनिटी की आवाज़ और सुनाओ अपनी कहानी, बनाओ अपनी पहचान की इस मुहिम से जुड़कर अपने जीवन के अनुभवों, करियर यात्रा, अपने उत्पादों एवं सेवाओं के पीछे की वास्तविक कहानी से देशवासियों को प्रेरित करें और अपनी एक नई पहचान बनाएं। टेल योर स्टोरी, इंस्पायर एंड बिल्ड योर ब्रांड विद द पावर ऑफ वीडियो। जय हिंद, जय भारत।